Hello and welcome to this episode of the Work in Progress podcast. I am your host, Colleta Macharia, and I'm very delighted that you could join me today. When we think about travel, whether it's by road, by air, by sea, or by train, whatever means we use, we always think about estimated time of arrival and never in terms of actual time of arrival. And the reason is simple. We estimate the time of arrival based on certain factors, whether it's traffic patterns or weather or just from experience of knowing how long it takes to move from point A to point B using certain means of transport. And we never really make a big deal, for example, if there is a slight delay in that movement, right? I mean, ideally, okay? And even when there is a delay, we don't abandon our journey unless there are special circumstances. For example, when you are traveling from the house to the shopping mall or from the house to the office to the house, you have a very specific destination and an intention to get there, all right? And I was thinking about this in relation to a couple of goals that I had set for myself in 2023. And I had a time frame for them, all right? And one of them was achieving my associate certified coach credential. And when I was planning and thinking about it and looking at the requirements, I thought, by the first quarter of 2023, I should have achieved this goal because I had my coaching hours on a spreadsheet. I had satisfied the requirement of training hours. And I knew that all I needed to do was record a coaching session and then put my application through. And so I went ahead and started working on this. But then where I hit a snag was with regard to the recording. I had not realized that I had not made provision to make several recordings. I had just assumed that I would just record one and then that it will be good to go. But then I realized that even with the transcribing tool that I had gotten, there was a learning curve. There was a lot of work to be done to ensure that everything was spick and span. And so it ended up taking many more months than I thought it would take. But eventually, I achieved the goal, albeit several months later. But here is the thing. Even as I was working on it, never at any one point in time did I think, I need to abandon this. I need to let it go. It's taken too long. No, I was committed to it. And as I was reviewing and asking myself, what happened? Why is it that it took so long? I realized that the time frame that I had set for myself was arbitrary. I had not even talked to people who had taken that journey to understand how long it had taken them to do some of these processes. And so I was in error there for not really for setting a time frame without a good understanding of how long it might take. So that was a good learning point for me. And I was thinking about this estimated time of arrival versus actual time of arrival and realized that actually, even when I set that time frame, I had in mind an actual time of arrival, so to speak. And that's why, even though I wasn't going to give up on that goal, at some point I was getting agitated and getting impatient with myself and wondering, what's wrong? Why aren't you making progress in this? And so when I started to think about it with regard to ETA versus ATA, I realized that I was being unfair to myself. And so I want to invite you to consider those goals that you have set, whether they are New Year resolutions or goals for your own personal development or whatever it is. When you think about the time frame that you have given yourself, are you thinking about it as an actual time or as an estimated time? What provisions have you made so that even when things do not go as planned or if you find that you're experiencing delays, you are not tempted to give up or to chastise yourself just because the timing is not coming along the way you thought it would. I just thought I would throw in that because it was a learning point for me. And I realized that sometimes we can be unfair to ourselves just because we are expecting, just because we haven't managed our expectations well, or because we have not made our estimates, making the provision that there could be delays along the way caused by factors that are beyond our control. There's this scripture in the book of Luke chapter 14 and verse 28 that I find interesting to look at within the context of setting goals and the different aspects or the different things that are required to achieve those goals. And this is what Luke 14:28 says. For which of you, desiring to build a tower, does not first sit down and count the cost, whether he has enough to complete it? Lest when he has laid the foundation and is not able to finish, all who see it begin to mock him, saying, this man began to build and was not able to finish. So this is a call to be both realistic and real in terms of how we look at the different pieces. Some of them are moving pieces and all these things that are requirements for achieving our goals, and also looking at them as we would a journey, so that in case there is a delay in arriving where we want to arrive, we don't abandon that journey. We don't just decide, I'm turning back. I'm not going to go home today just because it rained and there's some mud on the road. No, we stick with it. We are committed to that journey because we have a destination and we know why we are going to that destination. I wish you a fantastic week. Keep shining and see you on the next episode. The Work in Progress podcast is brought to you by Cogent Afrique. Visit www.cogentafrique.com to check out learning and development opportunities for you, your team, organization, and family.